Okay, PSG and Pochettino are parting ways. Yes, PSG have parted company with Pochettino. Did he resign? Was he sacked? All we know is he will not be completing his 3-year initial contract. He's lasted 2 out of the initial 3 seasons, and the marriage is over. It's over. Yes, he's won some silverware there, and he gets that monkey off his back. He gets some silverware. He can say, "Look, I've now won silverware as a manager." He's got unlimited funds to do it. The problem is Lille winning the title last year. He was already, you've got to win the champ. His directive was win the Champions League and the French League. You've got to do a league and cup double. You cannot fail. He wins the league. He gets part 1 of it. Doesn't get part 2. He doesn't even win the French Cup. So in reality, they wanted him to get a cup double and a league. They wanted to get a treble. Gets 1 trophy. And by any other manager's standards in any other league, winning trophies in back-to-back seasons is classed as a successful spell, not with the demands of PSG. There's a reason why managers aren't sticking around at PSG more than a couple of seasons at a time. It is clearly a toxic environment. I cannot see some of the signings that have been made as Pochettino signings somehow. Really. Especially the Mbappe contract extension. I don't see that as a Pochettino move. I don't see signing, admittedly on a free transfer, and admittedly, yes, he has played alongside Neymar. I cannot see the Messi signing being a Pochettino signing if he's trying to develop young players coming through the team and develop a positive new style. Bringing an aging superstar who, is well past his best is not a Pochettino move. Look at his record at Southampton and the first 2/3, I would say, of his time at Spurs. Constantly bringing players through a youth system, constantly developing players, bringing younger players into the squad via transfer. The moves taken at PSG in the 2 years he's been there aren't Pochettino moves. So how much say did he actually have over transfers and contracts and players on his squad? Because they don't strike me as Pochettino-style moves. And we've seen with Tuchel and Ancelotti the relationship break down between the manager and the director of football, which is Leonardo, and the board. There's clearly not a healthy, positive. Who's actually in charge of transfers? Who's in charge of the direction of the club? Who's in charge of recruitment, youth development? The fans this season have booed Messi and Neymar and Mbappe, booed the team. Fans on social media are saying we are sick and tired of these mercenary players who are in it for a paycheck, which is basically what Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi actually are. In reality, none of them have come through the PSG system. That is a massive problem. Is PSG aren't developing their own talent, and that's a criticism of a lot of clubs with a lot of money, like Man City. Not enough youth players coming through the system. Foden notwithstanding, and some other young players. Chelsea, too many youth players. Half of them are out on loan. But in PSG's case, much like Man City, lots of money, not enough youth talent coming through. Considering the amount of money these clubs' owners are worth, you would think there'd be far more investment in the youth structures, youth talent scouts, youth development, the youth system. Ironically, what is really funny is the French league, apart from the last decade, historically is the most competitive top flight since the Second World War in Europe. St Etienne is the only other club to have won the top flight in France 10 times. They got relegated this season, with some very ugly scenes as well. Marseille's actually got the biggest fan base. And until PSG had this money, Lyon had the record for winning the most consecutive titles at 4 in a row. So historically, French football is ironically very, very competitive. Then PSG get the Qatari money and it stops. And when you've got clubs like AS Monaco, who've been to Champions League finals as well, and in my lifetime, and had some very good players play for them, saying, look, we're just not on the same financial playing field. We cannot compete on the same financial level as this PSG side. They have unlimited state funds. We have money, but we have a limit. When you've got the other French clubs saying we need to live within our means, we need to spend less, we need to be more financially responsible, and then PSG go out and extend Mbappe to €800,000 a week, tells you that the French system especially is completely broken. And the French clubs have great history, Marseille, Bordeaux, Lyon, Toulouse, St Etienne, AS Nancy, Lille, Rennes, Auxerre. They all have great histories. great, fantastic histories. They've developed some of the best players. And then you have PSG, who have only been a club since 1970, a foundation of two clubs that go bust, a merger. And before the money, they'd only won 2 league titles. They've won 8 league titles under the current ownership. Before the current ownership, they weren't a very successful team. Quite frankly, they weren't as successful as they would like to be. They've been relegated from the top flight. They've played in the second tier in their shorter history than other clubs in the league. And now Pochettino is the latest manager to fail to fulfil the objectives of what is basically a sports washing regime in failing to win all the trophies, all of them. It was a no-win situation. Every manager that has gone there has not stayed around in Paris very long under the current ownership. The managerial situation there is very similar to Chelsea under Abramovich. A lot of chopping and changing. It doesn't matter if you win the club silverware, you're still getting sacked. So that's my view on PSG. I think it's a very toxic club. I don't think it's good for football that, especially French football, that they just basically buy the league every season. It has to be a really bad year for PSG to finish second to Lille. And Pochettino from the get-go, I don't think the club were going to see him as their long-term manager. From the get-go, there was speculation over his future from day one. After failing to win the French league and Lille winning last year, the pressure mounted, and the demands were, you win us the Champions League this year or you're out. He wins the French league for him, so he regains that title. Doesn't win the French Cup, that goes to someone else, and doesn't win the Champions League. So they parted ways with a year left on his initial contract. So I feel sorry for Pochettino, but I feel sorry for any manager going there, because the demands are insane. Their payroll is unbalanced, and the fans are restless and not happy with the overpaying of players on their contracts and not developing local Parisian talent. They were booing this season. So there you go. So all is not well in PSG, but PSG have parted ways with Mauricio Pochettino. Place your thoughts in the comments section below, and I will have some more videos for you very, very soon.